Oh, they're not here to just watch.
Oh, cool. Well, that's hardly fair.
Why, it's not fair.
Oh, I just slapped you. Are you all right?
What?
Damn! Him up. Come on, Derek. Get him up, Derek. Let's call this a draw.
We're talking about Roadhouse, the 2024 remake, reimagining of the 80s classic that I've never seen. Patrick Swayze is a blind spot for me. I think I've just seen his films in clips and major pieces, but I don't recall ever sitting through many of his movies. So I always knew about Roadhouse, and I always wanted to watch it because it's just a 80s classic, as many people often say. It's got a very infamous fight where he does a Mortal Kombat move essentially on somebody, but I've never got around to watching it. I wanted to watch it before this one, and I just didn't have the time.
Can I buy you guys a drink? Guess not.
Patrick Swayze is
Dalton.
I thought you'd be bigger.
Yeah. That's something that maybe we will eventually cover. Or maybe I'll cover it really quickly now. I just watched it again. Right? Oh. I watched them as a double feature for tonight. Mind you, I have seen Roadhouse before this, the original, the 80s version. And for me, my experience with Patrick Swayze was on and off. I haven't seen all his movies. But I do think he's a very... I'm sorry, rest in peace. But he was a very talented, talented, well-rounded actor.
Opinions vary.
When he's around, anything can happen.
My sentiments on that movie is that it's fun, it's stupid, it's very 80s, very, very 80s. And when I say stupid, I'm gonna harp on that. However, watching today's 2024's Roadhouse and putting it next to the original somehow makes the original look super tame. It actually makes it look kind of boring in a way.
Before we start, do you have insurance?
What?
Your coverage good? Like, you have dental?
Oh, haha.
Is there a hospital nearby? Is it too far?
About 25 minutes, I'd say.
And I love the original Roadhouse. Don't get me wrong, I do. But it's very hard to watch the original after watching the craziness that you see in the modern day remake. So yeah, with that said, let's talk about the Jake Gyllenhaal version. I don't know what I really want to come out of this with, because I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I thought it'd be more negative.
Okay. I wanted this to be shorter. This is 2 hours. Yeah. This is 2 hours, too many characters. Yeah. If this was 90, it would have been perfect. I hate that we have to say that all the time. We always say that. 30 minutes shorter. Cut out all this fluff. It would have been like a perfect Saturday afternoon action film. You just turn on. It's like, oh, that was fun. That was easy to sit through. Not too bad. But I was sitting there watching it, not knowing anything about the story because I'd never seen the original. And you're just sitting there with Jake Gyllenhaal. He's this ex-UFC fighter. He's got this past that comes up every now and then. And he gets coerced into acting as a bouncer for a bar called the Roadhouse in Florida that is going through some trouble because they are constantly being, I guess, harassed by local bullies, and they have gone through multiple protectors, and he is now their new one.
A friend of mine suggested I come talk to you. I own a Roadhouse out in the Florida Keys. Lately, it's been attracting the wrong clientele. I can pay you good money. Judging by your car, you need that.
Well, I like my car.
Think about it.
Well, okay, in this version, the new one, it makes the Roadhouse seem like it's a a staple in the town, a staple local bar that needs to stay up because it's part of the community. Meanwhile, everyone goes there to have fisticuffs and be constant fighting and violence. And it's like, what? No, this place is a menace. You need to get rid of some place like this. It's like, it's not a okay place to be in. And the original movie kind of glances over that. Like, it is down and dirty, but at least like they don't pretend like it's this necessary establishment in the community. So that's one thing that the original does better. Like, or better in the fact that they just completely gloss over it. It's like, yeah, people come here to fight. Oh well.
If somebody gets in your face, I want you to be nice. Don't be rude.
So I like Jake Gyllenhaal. He is an interesting actor. He's got this interesting range to him. I love when he's unhinged and weird and strange. And it's almost like that might be the case here, because when you first meet him, he is smiling just a little too much. Whenever you see him and he's smiling, it looks like he's just really happy to be there because he hasn't eaten in weeks and he just really needs this job. So, and I kind of like that about him. Like, he's got this natural charm that I think works for him, but I don't like the story at all. I wish the story was consolidated a little more.
Elwood Dalton, big fan, man.
That guy's got a knife under his shirt. You just take a big step back and pop me in the face. You can do it.
But it's crazy to see him just get so jacked for this role. Really big, really huge. And I like that he's very confident. He's not cocky. He's just very confident because he has that UFC background. He understands the aspects of fights. He understands physicality. So when he is getting threatened by people, he knows, like, okay, well, they can't really hurt me, so I'm gonna just kind of do my best to de-escalate until things happen, and then he goes ham.
Sure, yeah. That's kind of in line with the original character. The original he was not all smiles, and he wasn't even really nice. He did have this stoic grin on his face at all times, but he was never. That's Patrick Swayze's version, yeah. So slightly different. But Jake Gyllenhaal's version is a lot more smiles at all times, almost, until pretty much the end of the movie.
It takes a lot to get me angry, but when I am, I just can't let go.
I wanted a little more action because there is a moment in the movie where you're just kind of left with nothing. But it does back end it, because once things start really get going at the end, it's not just bar fights and it's not just fisticuffs. We get a boat chase. That's actually pretty nice. We get a nice underwater set piece where a boat is sinking and they have to escape it. I was like, oh, okay, that's not bad. It's not what I was expecting. I was really expecting MMA. I was expecting a lot of MMA, and actually, it's a lot of stand-up fighting. Really, there isn't so much grappling, and it only comes into play once Conor McGregor's character really fights him in the end. That's the most grappling you're going to see.
Hey, fellas. Looks like you're having a smashing night.
Yeah, Conor McGregor, we should talk about it. This is his acting debut. And it's just Conor McGregor being himself. Really.
Man, that is one coked out smile. like Jake Gyllenhaal is really happy to be there, so that's why he's smiling. And Conor McGregor is really happy that they gave him a lot of coke, because man, he is just always smiling too. And I don't watch UFC. I don't watch anything based off of him. I know his notoriety, but that doesn't really do anything for me. Based solely on this, I thought he was fun. He's just like this goofy weirdo who's strutting around. He's pretty cocky. He's very overconfident. He's smiling too much. He's like he's essentially Jake Gyllenhaal's character if he just did way too much coke.
I I got a tip for you. Don't let no one get this close.
Given the, that we rewrote the main character to have an MMA background, plus we have Conor McGregor in the movie, I was also expecting more MMA. And there kind of is. The striking feels MMA, but then there's almost zero grappling. Like anytime there's like a takedown, it just immediately breaks up and they wait for the other guy to get up again. Or something to that effect.
They never stay in the grapple too long.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. It's weird. I was watching this movie, and we really get into it because we're a martial arts movie podcast, and we've just seen so many martial arts fights. We have a different technical and visual preference for these kind of things. So when I was watching this movie, I was thinking like, okay, I know I don't like this type of fighting necessarily, but it's not bad either. Like, because there's an audience for, like the American style brawl, like the bar brawl, the original Western bar brawl. Sure. And I think this is a nice modern update of that. Sure, it's not as fancy or as filled with as much overcomplicated choreography, but feels heavy. It feels impactful.
Sure.
I like the variety they're trying to do with the cinematography. Like, they're changing up camera angles. They're going into point of view sometimes. They're doing everything so that it's not just, okay, these two guys are just like punching at each other and that's it.
This is a straight fight, raw fighting movie. To do something like this, you'd be better off doing it with someone like me, who's skilled in it.
I am grateful to be working with him and also equally terrified.
I was going to say the best fights in the film are all involving Conor McGregor. And I don't think that's because it's Conor McGregor. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal does a good job in the film, but when you put two people who are supposedly the best in the film and you put them against one another, then you have longer exchanges, right? The rest of the movie is more brawly. It's like Jake Gyllenhaal dispatches everyone relatively quickly. So, there's not much to hone in on there. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's anything spectacular. Oh, God, even when they're on that little tiny boat in the middle of the ocean. I was actually afraid that was going to be a fight scene on this tiny 6x4 boat. I was like, oh, no, don't fight here. Because it was basically wrapping up the movie. I was like, no, come on, fight on land.
Looky here. Our own little octagon.
What? Who taught you shapes?
Man, I was so worried about the pacing of this because, yes, you're talking about towards the end of the movie, we're getting into these final action scenes.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh no, is this it? Is this going to be it? Are we out of fights?
Yeah. I thought, I was like, oh, is he going to die just because, he got blown up? Like, no, I want to see one more fight. Like, I actually want to see, our main character win because of, his own ability, not because explosion.
Come on!
There's just the freaking way that Jake Gyllenhaal flies off a boat, crashing into the yacht, and then grabs onto the top of it.
I kind of liked it, but but at the same time, it's a little too over the top as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's weird. The movie felt very grounded. It felt like it was just two people gonna be fighting, and then when they start fighting on the boat, they're like, oh, okay, this is starting to go a little too much, but I think it was fine.
Yeah, that was the only time. Sorry, that was the only time in the film where I felt like it was so bad it's good. The rest of the movie doesn't have that. The rest of the movie is kind of ridiculous at times, but never to a point where I'm laughing at the film. This was a very long movie that kind of just drained my brain a little bit, and having to sit through both of them, I think my brain's melted a little bit.
Aren't you guys tired?
Doc, I'll get all the sleep I need and I'm dead.
I enjoyed the movie. This is, you know what it is? This is like one of those one and dones for me. Like, I watched it, have my complaints, thought it was okay. Probably will never watch this again, but I don't think it's terrible.
I think that's the review right there.
I think so too.
Right? Yeah, I don't
maybe.
know else to add to that. Yeah. I didn't even think it was great, but it was, exactly to your point. I don't think I'd be watching this again. It's funny. The director was like, oh, I can't believe it's just going straight to streaming. Like, this has been great as a theater experience. I'm like, I don't want to watch this in theaters. I really don't. I don't think I would be missing out on seeing this in theaters. Like, watching at home is kind of like, okay, this is fine.
There's something wrong with you. Me too.